So, what on earth does a medical emergency happening way up on the International Space Station have to do with your investment portfolio? Well, it turns out a lot more than you might think. Today, we're going to dig into how NASA's incredible approach to extreme risk gives us a huge lesson for Wall Street. It all kicks off with what sounds like a simple update from NASA, an astronaut's having a medical issue. But see, in orbit, nothing is simple. A whole 6-month SpaceX mission is suddenly hanging in the balance, and a decision has to be made where even the smallest mistake could be, well, catastrophic. And this gets us to the big question, right? What can we possibly learn from how NASA handles a crisis like this hundreds of miles above the Earth? As it turns out, their whole process is a masterclass in managing risk, and it's got some really powerful lessons for anyone trying to navigate the crazy world of finance. Okay, so first things first, let's break down what exactly happened on this Crew 11 mission that got this whole conversation started. So, a planned spacewalk gets scrubbed. Why? Because of an astronaut's medical problem. Now, NASA's quick to say the crew member is stable, but, and this is the key part, they're openly talking about bringing the whole crew home early. That is a very unusual move. The message couldn't be clearer. Safety first, schedules second. Always. And that's really the heart of it. This isn't just a story about a problem, it's a story about a philosophy. We're watching in real time how one of the most advanced organizations on the planet makes decisions when failure just isn't an option. Which leads us to this core idea they operate on. It's a framework that very few organizations can actually pull off, and it's called extreme risk management. So, what does that actually mean in plain English? It means you build a system where the number one, absolute, non-negotiable priority is survival and keeping the whole thing intact. It doesn't matter how much money you've spent, how close a deadline is, or what people are expecting. If a real threat to the core system pops up, you stop. Period. End of story. And here is the massive difference. NASA's decisions are driven by pure, cold, hard data. Probability, impact, consequence. Now compare that to what usually drives the market. Media hype, pressure to hit earnings, totally arbitrary deadlines. You see, NASA operates on the signal, while Wall Street is often completely deafened by all the noise. So let's make that connection crystal clear. Let's bring this idea down from orbit and right into your portfolio, and see how this NASA way of thinking applies directly to finance. I mean, this quote just says it all, doesn't it? The biggest danger you face isn't being wrong about where the market's going. The real danger is not seeing the cliff you're about to walk right off of. NASA's entire game plan is built to avoid that one single catastrophic mistake. And listen, this isn't just some abstract theory. It's a universal principle, and it applies across the board, starting with major corporations trying to make the right strategic moves. It applies to individual investors, people like you and me managing our own savings. It's absolutely critical for the giant hedge funds that are responsible for billions of dollars. And even for the people who run the actual plumbing of our markets, the stock exchanges themselves. And oh yeah, it is desperately needed in the most volatile spaces out there, like crypto, where ignoring systemic risk is exactly what leads to the kind of epic collapses we've seen over and over again. Okay, so let's get practical. What are the specific, actionable lessons we can pull from the way NASA and SpaceX are handling this situation? What are the real signals we should be paying attention to? Okay, lesson number 1. And this is going to sound a little backward at first, but an event like this actually strengthens SpaceX's reputation with the big, serious institutional investors. Why? Because it proves their systems work. It's proof that they have solid governance and that their partnership with NASA is built on that shared principle of safety first. You can't buy that kind of stability. Lesson number 2, think about the tech that actually makes these missions possible. We're talking about AI for risk analysis, totally secure data streams, autonomous systems. This whole situation just validates how important that underlying tech infrastructure is. This isn't about some short-term speculative play. It's about the long-term proof that these foundational technologies are the real deal. And this is just a brilliant example of how to communicate. What NASA does is strategic transparency. They tell us what we need to know, but they protect the astronauts' privacy and they don't cause a panic. That's the complete opposite of reckless exposure, where a company just dumps all the info at once, creating chaos and volatility. It's a perfect lesson in responsible corporate governance. So, Let's pull all of this together into a simple but powerful winning formula. And it's a process that puts one thing above everything else: survival. Just look at this playbook. It's beautiful. Something goes wrong, what do? Step 1, you pause. You don't just push forward. Step 2, you gather all the data, you assess every single variable. Step 3, you communicate, but only what's necessary, and you do it calmly. And finally, step 4, you reaffirm the core principle. In this case, safety that drives everything. That's the model. And here's the brutal, honest truth. In trading, in investing, in running a business, knowing when to hit the brakes, when to get out of a bad position, when to just accept a delay, that is the skill that separates the people who stick around from the ones who get wiped out. So, the ultimate lesson from a medical scare in outer space is this: hitting pause isn't a sign of weakness, it's a sign of maturity. Because in the long run, the real winners aren't the ones who move the fastest. They're the ones who manage risk the best. They're the ones who survive to fight another day.